Okay, so welcome back to the show where I review different kind of stand-up specials. So today I actually had the chance to, well, it wasn't actually today, it was yesterday. I had the chance to look at and rewatch, for the first time in a very long time, I rewatched Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip. And I had to take like a bit of a day to kind of process it. And obviously I've done the classics, the LPMs, the act outs, the characters, the voice modulations, and kind of put it into comparison with all the other specials that I've done, as I usually do. So if you want to look at that directly, I'll put a link. I'll put the timestamp here. But before I go into that, just want to take a bit of time and kind of share some of my thoughts on it, and give you a bit of an impression from my particular viewing experience, right? Now, I hadn't watched this in a very long time, and I think it was a good thing for me to rewatch, because one of the first things that strikes me about this particular special, at the beginning of it, Richard Pryor does a really good job of actually making it seem not like a show, but like a conversation, right? It is very interesting how he actually manages to pull the audience into a state of relaxation and make me feel like we're around, like, I don't know, a dinner table or a couch, or just smoking something together, and making me feel very, very relaxed. The other thing that kind of struck me about this particular special, and I see why it is ranked like one of the best all over the place, the number one thing that I saw, first of all, was basically Chappelle's influences. So I was like, okay, this is clearly what Chappelle draws a lot of inspiration and influence from. And then I went in and I looked up Chappelle's influences, and I found out this particular phrase by Chappelle. Let me put it here. Now, the situation is, I actually do see this. It is very striking how, comedy is stand-up comedy is like a bit of alchemy, right? You turn like negative emotions into comedy and humor. You take bad stuff, you turn it into funny stuff that generates laughter and joy for other people, right? That is essentially what is at the core. And I think that's one of the most shocking things about Pryor, especially this particular special. He manages to portray a very impressive sense of vulnerability, right? He manages to get these topics that are particularly difficult to talk about. He talks very openly about, heartache when his girl leaves him. He talks very openly about the trauma and the suffering of freebase and doing drugs and setting himself on fire. And I don't know, it's just it's a level of vulnerability that he is comfortable to get on stage that I personally makes me feel uncomfortable, right? Just kind of seeing the level of freedom he has makes me feel uncomfortable when I try to portray myself in that particular position, right? Because I feel like, I don't know, to some level, I feel like I'm not comfortable sharing so much stuff with the audience, which are basically strangers, right? And I think that is what the audience rewards. This kind of is this genuine trust that he has in the audience, and it's the word that I was looking for is this unconditional trust, right? He has this unconditional trust in the audience. I mean, obviously the trust is conditioned by money because they paid to see this, but it is very impressive to see this level of, like I said, flexibility and openness from an artist altogether, right? It is mind-boggling how he's able to kind of have this level of trust with the audience. And I feel like that is exactly what makes the comedy so good. If you look at the LPMs, you're gonna see it's basically the lowest out of all that I've seen. Not by much, but it is one of the lowest so far. And it still kind of, keeps by the rule of having, between 4, 5, 6, somewhere around there. He stays around like 5 for most of it. But it is and he manages to kind of compress all these emotions very well. I think this is what the key thing about the special is. He compresses emotions and hardships, and he manages to transfer it very well to the crowd, right? Like the free base trauma that he experiences so well transferred and so well kind of communicated to the audience. I particularly felt very like a sense of inner pressure when I was kind of watching, and I was like, okay, well, man, that sounds like pretty shitty. The other aspect of it is one thing he does here, I think Richard Pryor does very well, is he uses his voice very well. Not necessarily in terms of voice modulation and character introduction. He uses his voice extremely well to convey emotion, right? And I think, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is. Is it a use of pauses, elongated vowels, maybe the tone, the pitch? I can't really put my finger on it, but I think Sebastian Maniscalco does it also in some particular manner where he kind of, Maniscalco has particularly gained mastery in communicating outrage, disgust with other people's behaviors, right? Whereas like Richard Pryor, I guess, has mastered the ability to convey intense negative emotions. That's what it is. It's negative emotions, you know, like pain, suffering, some form of despair through his voice. I guess that is where, obviously, you know, the words and whatnot communicate and help you paint the picture. But I think what your brain really picks up with Richard Pryor is his subconsciously picks up all this built up emotion in his voice. And I think it's through the stuttering, through the, again, the god damn, and you know, the different kind of exclamations that he puts out there. And it's very impressive how he does it. And I the reason why I kind of took a day before, so it's not only that I wanted to take a day, I wanted to come back and kind of review some of the material, right? So basically I took a day, I watched it, and I came back today and I also watched the same material performed on other dates, right? Because again, I wanted to kind of see if it was the same level of delivery. And it is very similar, right? It's like he does feel like he's telling a story, but then like when you go watch the show again, or you see another show, another instance of the performance, it has the same level of intensity when he speaks. So he kind of relives every moment. It's one of the fascinating things about this particular performance. In particular set, I guess, he manages to relive that particular experience throughout different instances, which is really kind of like that point of mastery. And again, you have to have a bit of, I don't know if it's, what's the word? Lack of fear? Maybe it is. He just not, there's no fear in his voice of being judged. And as Chappelle says in that particular quote that I showed, there is, you know, it's okay that all the things that he's done are negative or whatever. The freebasing, people understand. That's the thing. There is this mutual empathy shown. I mean, it's a mutual trust. You know, he trusts the audience, and the audience trusts him to have this. It feels like there is no judgment happening in this relationship between Pryor and the scene, the audience. Yeah, I particularly enjoyed it. I think I'm going to rewatch this in a couple of months just to kind of get a bit of a better idea of how to maybe convey that type of genuine type of emotion to the audience. And like I said, I do see a lot of Chappelle's influences here, and I'm not sure particularly if it's going to be something that influences me, but it is definitely something to kind of dissect and strive for. So I particularly enjoyed it. I understand why it's ranked as one of the best in most of the rankings out there. I did see Eddie Murphy's Delirious as well, which a lot of these top comedy rankings rank it as second, but I don't really agree with that. I'll talk it in the future video. But I think with Richard Pryor, this particular special deserves the top ranking spot, and I think it's going to be quite difficult to kind of dethrone it. But yeah, let's wait and see. So without further ado, let us actually, before we go into the numbers, just wanted to remind you, if you do enjoy these comments, these videos, whatever they are, please drop me a review, leave a comment, and let me know what else I should look at. But thanks a lot, and let us go into the numbers. Okay, so going straight into the numbers, we have Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip. Okay, show duration is 76 minutes, so quite a lengthy show. I think in the majority of the cuts, they kind of take out some of the bits that he had there, because they make it like 40 minutes. I've seen it like 45 minutes duration, but 76 minutes, pretty strong. Very difficult to find, actually. I had to watch it on daily, well, actually I watched it on Netflix, so it's not that difficult to find. Yeah, overall 14 topics, and then average duration per topic is 5.4 minutes, right? If you want to look at the topics are, put them here. Can't fuck because of Reagan, money problems, lawyers, relationships, penitentiary, prison guards, growing up, going to Africa, and black people being the first people to have fought, which is very interesting and very emotional for the crowd. The crowd was actually very mixed. It was mixed black, white. Mafia story, Mudbone bit, freebase story, very one of my favorites actually, and talk about addiction and pain and rehab. These were the main kind of topics he covered. All right, let's look at the numbers. 76 minutes in total, 14 topics, 5.4 minutes per topic, right? So relatively on average with some of the other topics, with some of the other specials and comedians. Total laughs 338, which again ranks pretty well. It's like kind of like mid-tier, low mid-tier to LPMs, and 4.4 laughs per minute, which is actually the lowest ranking one, right under Ali Wong, which is at 4.47, and then Dave Chappelle, Sticks and Stones, which is at 4.59. So lowest one, but then the best one ranked overall. Once again, showing us that LPMs do not matter as much when it comes to the content of material. Obviously, he does have the required LPMs to make it funny, but it is not a Jim Gaffigan type of, you know, plump with LPMs. It's not that optimized for laughter in that direction. So yeah, content matters. Content matters more, I guess, and the conveying of emotion. Right, let's see the act outs. 79 act outs that generate laughter and 104 voice modulations, pumping it up to 23% and 30%. And overall use of characters is 96 characters created. Which 96, again, somewhere in the middle tier. Gaffigan obviously higher use of characters. But you can see Chris Rock 77, lower, but it is in a good spot. And no particular irregularity when it comes to voice modulations and act outs. It seems to be 23 to 30, seems quite normal. But those are the numbers, that's how it looks. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary, just the LPM slightly lower. But I guess the content of the material makes it worth it, right? Actually, one thing we should look at now. Alright, let's look at the overall pulse of the show. Okay, so when it comes to the pulse of the show, we see pretty stable. Middle of the show, it goes a bit lower in terms of LPM. It lowers a bit in the middle of the show, but when you have the distribution with voices and characters, you can see physical act outs are not as strong, they don't have such strong of a presence in the particular show, but character presence and voice act outs is pretty much all over the show, right? Alright, let's see how they compare to some of the other comedians out there. Okay, so when comparing, basically Louis C.K., the top, Marron, Dave Chappelle sticks to those, Richard Pryor. You can see Dave Chappelle and Richard Pryor have a similar cadence, and they are both within the similar type of LPM frame, which maybe kind of gives us an idea that you don't need to strive for, like, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 per minute, whereas like 4 and 5 can actually help you deliver the message that you want to deliver, right? So very interesting to see that here. And then when you have other comparisons, you can see Richard Pryor with Tom Segura at the top. Obviously Tom Segura is a bit different. Then you have Dave Chappelle, Killing Them Softly. Killing Them Softly is actually, you know, Dave Chappelle's first special. Yeah, I think it's his first special, if I'm not mistaken. You can see Dave Chappelle's first special. Much higher focus on the LPMs and getting people to laughter. But, and again, similar kind of downtrend when compared to Pryor. See, up, Killing Them Softly is here. So you can see the similar cadence in the styles. Pryor starts off very strong, 5, 5, 5, 5, gets the audience attention until minute 10, and then kind of slows down once it's built up the trust. Very similar with Chappelle as well. Very similar with Chappelle as well. And I also put in Sebastian Maniscalco here as well, which follows the same kind of pattern. I thought it was very interesting. And I thought some of you guys might want to see a bigger type of breakdown, so I've actually put everybody in this particular one here, so you can see how it compares in terms of LPMs with everybody. And I basically put Pryor on black, so you can kind of see how it goes, where the start is, and so on and so forth. So you can see who is this? This is Ali Wong, this is Joe Rogan, but yeah, obviously in the lower tier for definitely. All the other ones obviously are slightly higher, like majority of them are like slightly higher than LPMs. But then you see the ones that are closer to Pryor are Delirious, which I actually haven't done the video for. Then you have Eddie Murphy, Chris D'Elia, Man on Fire, and Ali Wong, Baby Cobra, and then Chappelle, Sticks and Stones. That's how it looks, guys, and girls as well. That is how it looks. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense for you. It was very interesting to see for me the fact that it was in some degree kind of consistent with some of the things that we've seen, right? You can see here, obviously it is above, in start time, it is above majority, big amount of specials. Like even Chris Rock, the pain is not as strong in terms of the kickoff with laughter, right? All right, so you see they both kind of start with similar cadence. This is Rock, this is Pryor, but different direction in terms of flow and in terms of speed. So I do think like Chris Rock's Bring the Pain is one of the best ones out there, and in terms of message, very similar to Pryor. So if I were to rank all the specials that I've seen so far in terms of quality, I would basically put Pryor top and then second Chris Rock, Bring the Pain. Yeah, I guess this is all I got for now, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun watching this particular video. I'll try to do some more in the future. Let me know what you suggest. And yeah, if you haven't watched this particular special by Richard Pryor, definitely do. It is something you will love to study. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. And the graphs are at the end, kind of just ranking in chasing the LPMs. Subscribe.